boy, you better straighten up. That's what my pops would say in his signature voice. And if you ever got a chance to meet my pops, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll actually link his podcast, which is called The Making of Pops, in this episode, and you can listen back to his voice. And he would constantly say that, boy, you better straighten up. And I didn't realize the profound wisdom that he was dropping when he said that saying, because most of the time it was drowned out by the noise of all the circumstances in our family growing up. The challenges that we went through, all those things, there was noise going on, and my pops was dropping these nuggets of wisdom, but a lot of times I wouldn't listen, and a lot of times I wouldn't understand how profound the simple little phrases that he would say were to me. But now I get it, Pop. And when you were saying, boy, straighten up, it actually could be summed up in one word. And that one word was listen. And that word listen brought to mind a lot of questions, because if I heard the command, you need to listen, instantly my mind would go to, well, what do I need to listen to? And who do I need to listen to? But it's amazing because I believe that my pops was dropping these little nuggets of wisdom over time, because he knew, number one, he was going to check out a little bit early. I was going to spend more time without him than I was going to spend with him on this earth. And he wanted to direct my eyes to the Lord, so that way I would have an unfair advantage in every single thing that I did. In a world that constantly tells us that you need to be louder. It's a noisy world. We need to be louder. You need to shout to the top of at the top of your lungs to be able to be heard. My pops' profound wisdom was a blueprint, because it was saying, as opposed to shouting louder, just simply listen. I watched one of my friends. His name is Greg Reed. We were doing a convention. It was Secret Knock, and it was about 300 people. And he walked out on stage, and I saw him do something so masterfully that I had never seen before. We were coming back from break, and everyone was clamoring, having all these conversations. And as opposed to yelling out, "Come and sit in your seat," and doing it louder and trying to go over the crowd, he said it the first time. He said, "Raise your hand if you can hear my voice." And he said it about in that tone. And then I thought he was going to raise his voice, but he did the opposite. He lowered it. He said, "If you can hear my voice, raise your hand." And the third time, he whispered it. "If you can hear my voice, raise your hand." And by the third time he spoke, 300 people had gone from intense conversations to complete silence. You see, now I understand in life, it's not the louder that you shout that makes the difference, but it's the ability to be able to listen. I sat down in Proverbs 1 today, and it was one of the most unlikely connection points. Well, it's likely for me, but maybe it's unlikely for you. It's likely if you like hip hop. But Proverbs 1 is echoed by Talib Kweli in his song, Listen. And it answers the billion-dollar question that is posed when we are commanded to listen. That question, what should I listen to, is at the foundation. And when it's answered correctly, it will give you an unfair advantage in all that you do. And we're going to answer that question today. So why don't we get this party started?
Achieving, cause we believing it's for certain. We put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting right before your eyes. So it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
Listen, Listen. I heard this throughout my whole entire life, and with my pops, with him saying, boy, you better straighten up. He was just telling me to listen. That's it. I wish that Pops, you can hear me in heaven. You're hanging out with Mama right now and sweet baby Jesus. And I want to tell you, like, I get it now. When you were telling me, boy, you better straighten up, you were just simply telling me to listen. But the cool thing is I had a mentor in my life, in my Pops, that actually told me what and who to listen to. That question is the one that when you answer it, honestly, it gives you an unfair advantage. I want to break something down for you too, because Talib Kweli, he echoed this in Proverbs 1. And I think this is how amazing God is, right? So he'll speak to you wherever you're at. If you listen to hip hop, God can speak through hip hop. If you listen to country, he can speak through country. If you listen to, emo music, I don't know if he can speak through that, but I'm sure that he can. I don't listen to it, but if you listen to the Beatles, if you listen to Lenny Kravitz, if you listen to De La Soul, whatever you listen to, it's amazing because God will meet you there. And it blows my mind on this, but Talib Kweli echoed Proverbs 1 in his song, Listen. And here was the breakdown, right? I broke this down for you. So the intro, Kweli opens with urgency to listen. And he's setting the tone for the track, and it's a wake-up call. He then, in verse 1, he starts painting a picture of a noisy world, too many people talking, not enough people understanding, and there's a commentary on how media and commercial culture drown out the truth. Kweli challenges listeners to question what they are told, recognize the ignorance, that ignorance is often designed, not accidental. The hook, the chorus, drives home the command, pay attention, a mantra reminding people that listening with intention can be an act of power. In verse 2, he gets more personal. He talks about his personal story in it. In verse 3, there's this one is broader, turning into social observation. Kweli connects the dots between art, politics, consciousness, and speaks out against systematic control. How propaganda shapes thought and reasserts the awareness that awareness is the way out. The flow is dense but deliberate. And I tell you, he's one of the baddest lyricists on the planet. And then it circles back to the idea of choice. You can tune out or tune in. Listening in Kweli's world is both a discipline and a declaration to stay awake in a culture that profits off of your distraction. Imagine, like, God can work in anywhere. 3,000 years ago, he wrote Proverbs 31 was written. It was inspired word of God. And then, years later, we have one of the greatest hip hop lyricist of all time, and I think one of the best in the business to ever do it. I just think in music, Talib Kweli, and he echoes this, that listening will give you an unfair advantage. And so let's run it through here. And Pops, I love you. And my Pops didn't listen to a lot of hip hop, although he tuned me into the first hip hop song that I ever listened to, which was The Message. And then he turned me on to Sugar Hill Gang, and guess what? I got a chance to be able to interview Master G of the Sugar Hill Gang. My Pops was already in heaven by this time, but I know my Pops heard it. But I got to sit down with Master G from the Sugar Hill Gang and ask him why he wrote the songs that he did, connect with him. It was amazing. That's a sidebar note, but I'm a huge fan of hip hop. And if you haven't heard that episode, please go and listen to that. But my Pops raised me on music in general. But, I caught on more to the hip hop side. My brother definitely is a hip hop fan, but Big Rob was more of the metal guy. He was more like Van Halen, Motley Crue, Scorpions, Rat, all those guys. And I didn't understand them that much. I didn't dig it that much. I was more into Michael Jackson, Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, Nucleus, and then Run DMC, and on and on and on, NWA and De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest, and all of that. But what I want to encourage you with is that God is going to meet you in any of those places, and if we'll simply listen, we'll listen to His word first. We'll spend time with Him, then He'll speak through all those things. And you'll be able to live your life in joy. You'll be able to live your life light. You'll be able to live it free. And God will speak to you through all these areas, as opposed to having to be tightened up and say, oh, I've only got to, if I want to listen to something good, it has to be maybe not good music. And this was the thing that I was scared about with my mom very early on in life, because she would be like, you need to listen to Christian music. And I was like, I don't want to, because it sucks. Because at the time it wasn't that great. And now we have artists who, are amazing. Forrest Frank, we're going to have you on the podcast. I told you, I'm not going to stop until I get you on the podcast, because I think you have phenomenal music. But I want to tell you, even the person who's not talking about, God or the Bible or Proverbs in their lyrics, God could still speak through those. And that was one of those songs, Listen by Talib Kweli. I'll link it, and you guys have to listen to that. So let's jump into Proverbs 1. That's the reason why we're here. And the question was posed, what if you could gain wisdom, instruction, understanding, insight, prudence, righteousness, direction, and guidance? Like, would you choose it? It would be silly not to. But let me ask you again, what if you could gain wisdom, instruction, understanding, insight, prudence, righteousness, discretion, and guidance? Would you choose it? Well, in Proverbs 1, it talks about, like, you can have all of that if you'll just listen. That's the crazy thing. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not going to cost you, you're not going to have to spend, $19.95 today and then an upgrade of $50,000 later. It's saying that you could gain wisdom, instruction, understanding, insight, prudence, righteousness, discretion, and guidance if you'll just listen. That's the craziest thing in the world. And what would be the downside of listening and gaining all those things? There's not. In Proverbs 1, it really breaks it down that way. And in verse 8 and 9, understanding what and who to listen to is paramount. Once you accept it, you can begin. So make sure that you protect it once you find it. Who and what you listen to. Now, there was times in my life, I was, my best friend, Will, we grew up from fourth grade together. There was times where I listened to things and, it steered me the wrong way. I listened to friends. I hung out with friends and they would be like, yo, this is a good thing. Or, I've listened to this. I've done this in business before. I've done this in relationships. And I've listened, but I was listening to the wrong thing. Once you find the right thing to be able to listen to, make sure that's when things really start cooking. As my pops would say, that's when we're cooking with gas, boy. But that's when all the stuff begins. But once you find out and locate and identify what and who to listen to, that'll give you that ultimate foundation, make sure you protect it at all costs, because the world is going to get noisy at that time. In verse 10 through 19, there is going to be a multitude of silly noise. So learn to tune it out. I went to put in my headphones today and they have noise canceling. And when you do that, it's incredible. You don't even realize it, but I can't wear noise canceling headphones when I'm walking if I don't have music, because it's almost like it drowns out some noise and I get a little off balance. Maybe that's a condition that I have that I need to go get diagnosed for. I don't know what it is, but sometimes I'll just have my AirPod in and it'll have the noise canceling on, and it impacts me wild on my walk. But with those, if you put both of them in, it's great on a plane because it tunes out all the noise and you only hear what's coming through the headphones. Make sure that you understand how to be able to access that and when to turn on your noise canceling, because I tell you, this world is going to be noisy, especially with social media, things like that. Just choose very wisely what you choose to listen to and who you choose to listen to, and make sure that you could tune out the crazy noise that is going on, because I tell you, it's amazing how much is out there. In verse 20 through 32, things won't go well if you don't listen. So keep it simple and listen. Boy, you better straighten up. What my pops was saying is just listen, son, just listen. But then for me, I was saying, okay, Pop, like if I listen, who do I listen to? What do I listen to? And this was a charge in verse 20 through 32, and it listed out, like I would go to it, go to Proverbs 1, read it for yourself, and look at all the things that it lists out and all the things that it says that won't go well. It talks about from your wealth, from your health, from your relationships. Things won't go well if you don't listen. And then in verse 33, it sums it up. Reverencing the command to listen ignites when you focus on where and what to listen to. You see, listening, I thought it stopped at that, but then I had to ask the question, okay, so who and what do I listen to? And what God was saying is just like, listen to me. Spend some time with me. And what I would invite you to do, this is the crazy thing, is like, just 15 minutes. I want to try a challenge for 7 days. If you're listening to this right now, whenever you're listening to it, go ahead and start. Like today, I'm recording on Saturday. So this is Saturday, November 1st, 2025. But it doesn't matter when you're listening to it. I want you to commit to just 7 days, 15 minutes a day. I would suggest, here's 3 scenarios that you could do. Number 1, you can wake up in the morning and just wake up 15 minutes earlier and just sit and listen to what God has to say to you. Tune everything out. Don't have your phone. Don't have nothing. Just sit and listen for 15 minutes. Now, that's going to be a stretch. It's going to be a lot. For those people who think that's a lot, take 7.5 minutes when you wake up and 7.5 minutes before you go to bed. That's 15 minutes, the exact same thing. So just go ahead and do that. Or here's another one. You could take 5 minutes before breakfast, 5 minutes before lunch, and then 5 minutes after dinner. Still 15 minutes. It's amazing what can happen. And then come back to me in 7 days and give me your result. You see, my pops was always dropping nuggets of gold, although it has taken years to understand the value of his wisdom. He never wanted me to focus on him. He always wanted my eyes forward. I believe he knew that if I learned to listen to the one who made it all, it would create an unfair advantage in all of life. Boy, you better straighten up. Message received loud and clear, Pops. For the rest of my days, I promise you, I will listen. So my question to every single one of you is, who and what are you listening to? I want to thank you so much for tuning in. It has been my absolute honor and pleasure to be here with you on the podcast. If you get the opportunity to come to a Vibe Room in the future, you won't be able to come to November 5th, but you will be able to come to one in the future. And because November 5th is sold out, it's the live version of the podcast. It's got music, it's got comedy, it's got incredible interviews. And just always remember that your vibe is not the energy you bring into the room, but it's the way in which people feel when you leave. And I think that can be taken to a completely other level when you'll do that one thing, which is listen. I hope you have a phenomenal day. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make